Hey everybody, welcome to the Press Box. I'm Tariq Spence filling in for Bill Puckle, who will be back in a couple of weeks. Of course, joined by a man wearing a London Monarchs jersey, Pat Duffy.
NFL Europe, first of all, from back in the early 90s. This is one of my favorite jerseys of all time. I love this thing. I am on my way to London to watch this Bills game. So I will be in London all next week. So what better time? What more appropriate? I have another London Monarchs away jersey from a couple years before that I will be wearing, both of them walking around London. Very excited.
Oh, my goodness. All right, so let's talk about your Buffalo Bills. First, last week with Miami, what is there to say? I mean, literally, this was set up for the big NFL game at 1 o'clock, and it showed up. The Bills are the bullies of the block.
Yeah, you know I love my Bills. And you know that I'm bullish on them, right? Like, I'm all excited. I did not see 48-20 coming out of nowhere, right? Like, how did you... They didn't beat them. It was a dismantling. They straight up dismantled that team. They could not do anything they wanted to do. But whatever they wanted to do, the Bills allowed them to do. Like, after McDermott, and this has been a trend the last couple of weeks, when McDermott sees your defense, it's over. Like, there has been success early on for offenses that have faced McDermott in the last 3 weeks. And as soon as he times out your fastball, there's nothing you can do that you want to do anymore.
Listen, that offense was amazing the week before. We all know about that. We realized how personal it was with Miami going to Denver. But then you actually see this offense. I think this is a head game now with Miami and Buffalo. We'll wait and see what happens when Buffalo goes to Miami and see if there's going to be a different curveball, as you said before. But it'll be interesting to see that second round.
Well, no, like we talked about this in the break room on CMF this week. One of the weirdest things about what's happened between the Bills and the Dolphins the last, 6-7 years? Miami, no matter what they do, you can sign the best players in the league, because you can argue that their roster is more talented than Buffalo's, right? You can argue that the offensive mind of Mike McDaniel, head coach there, should be out-dueling Sean McDermott. For whatever reason, Miami cannot beat Buffalo. No matter what they do, it's not going to happen. And teams have those weird foils. Like Ali had Norton, the Bills have the Jets the last couple of years, the Bengals have the Browns. For whatever it is, the Dolphins cannot figure out the Bills.
Meanwhile, looking ahead to a game that is a little bit different in a sense that it's in a different building. We have the Bills, who are unbelievable right now. Some would rank maybe the best team in the NFL. Taking on the Jaguars, still basically 500, 2-2 on the year. What are your sort of thoughts going into that game?
I can't figure out Jacksonville, so I've watched 2 separate Jacksonville games all the way through this season, because I like to scout and then give information that they don't want to hear about for the Bills.
Yes. Sometimes accurate.
Very rarely. Trevor Lawrence protects the ball, which is good for them. Outside of that, I mean, they have like big play capability. Their defense has the ability to get after the quarterback, but they can also just completely break down at moments. This team reminds me of a Bills drought team with a better quarterback. Like if Rex Ryan's first season in Buffalo, he had Trevor Lawrence instead of Tyrod Taylor, that's what this Jaguars team reminds me of.
The last time these two teams met was the Urban Meyer era in Jackson. Basically, it was a cup of coffee and then he was done, for crying out loud. 9-6. They're actually calling this the Josh Allen Bowl, which I get it. We know the Josh Allen from the Bills, but there's a defensive player in Jacksonville named Josh Allen as well.
I'm glad that I'm going to be at the game so I don't have to listen to all the stupid Josh Allen on Josh Allen jokes that they're without question going to do on the broadcast on NFL Network.
It's going to be a lot of fun. At least Taylor Swift won't be there.
Well, who says? How do you know? You think she can't afford to go to London, Tariq? You think she doesn't like watching Josh Allen play?
I don't think she wants to watch Josh Allen if she's, quote, quote, with Travis Kelce.
Everybody wants to watch Josh Allen.
On that note, we'll talk about our NFL picks coming up next. You're watching the Rochester Press Box.
Just passing through, life lessons from notable Rochesterians, people you may think you know. Don Alhart, Maggie Brooks, John Dady, and Stacy Pension, J Mac and Soccer Sam, Fred Costello, and Jake Zembeck, along with 21 more. How they all got from there to here. It's a new book by Bill Puckle, available for $12 postpaid only from rocksportsnow.com. Try it, and thank you.
Our Buffalo Bills segment brought to you by Connors of Ferris, your trusted and dedicated workers' comp attorneys, and proud sponsor of Buffalo Bills Training Camp.
Hey, hello and welcome from Ireland. We're at the Cliffs of Moher. There's a Bills Mafia all over the place here. It's unbelievable. All right, this week, my picks. Buffalo Bills plus 6.5 over Jacksonville. Our Josh Allen is going to beat their Josh Allen. I can just feel it. Now, my other pick for the week, I'm taking the 49ers. I think the best team in the NFL over the Cowboys. Go Bills.
Welcome back to Rochester Press Box. That is Greg Connors from Connors and Ferris, your workers' comp attorneys. He's going with the Buffalo Bills. We'll get to that second pick in a minute, but all right, we've got Buffalo and Jacksonville. Your thoughts? I think it's 5.5 at this point.
Yeah, it's insane how to handicap this game because for those who don't know, Jacksonville will have been in London for over a week now. We've never had an NFL game with a team traveling this far, having to take care of a team that has fully adjusted to living life there. That being said, the offense is humming. The defense is a problem. Jacksonville, they're not a superstar team that can sustain success. The Bills win. They cover the 5.5. Not worried about it.
I think traveling for Jacksonville will be a big difference there. I think McDermott is a taskmaster. Keeps them on schedule. I think he's like, listen, let's get out of rhythm. Let's go out there. The football's played the same way. The air is different and the food is different. I still think the Bills are going to cover that game. I thought his second pick for Greg was very interesting in the sense of it was the Dallas Cowboys and the 49ers. Mm-hmm. He's going with the 49ers.
All right, so 49ers favored by 4. My goal this year is to beat Greg Connors.
Don't tell me you're going to go with Dallas.
I'm coming for him. No, and not only because, I mean, look, I'm brilliant. If I was putting money on these picks I'd be making, I would have enough money to not be here anymore. You get what I'm saying?
Oh, no.
Yeah, I think that San Francisco is due to come back down to earth. I think that Dallas is a better team than people want to give them credit for. That Arizona game was one of those wake up, here we are, this is what we're going to be. I think that Dallas covers that 4 points.
My goodness, my friends. All right, so this will be interesting. This is going to be a key moment in this game. For me, I'd have to go with it. A bit of a shocker. I know a lot of people thinking about this. Undefeated Philadelphia. I think they lose to the Rams. They go to the Rams. That West Coast trip, the Rams are a little bit better than people think. The Eagles, would you not say the Eagles are not the Super Bowl team they were last year?
So I think what you're basing on are divisional games, which were always a toss-up anyway. Like they did go to overtime with Washington last week, right? But those two teams always play each other tough. I don't think the Rams are very good. When it comes to traveling cross-country, it's much harder for West Coast teams to come east than East Coast teams to come west. I don't like that pick today.
I love it.
I don't like it.
I'm going to stick with it and enjoy. Those are our picks. And oh, by the way, the reason why Duffy took that gamble, he's only one. He's basically tied.
No, we're tied. We're tied, and I will take the lead this week after the Cowboys keep it within 4 with San Francisco.
By the way, Bill Pucko and I, just one game back, not that far.
Four it's back, though. I mean, you
but
back.
If you're taking gambles like that, we'll definitely capitalize on it. Yeah. We'll talk Major League Baseball playoffs coming up next with Like It or Not. You're watching the Rochester Press Box.
Here's the Press Box Trivia question brought to you by Market View Liquor, where exceptional customer service meets an extensive selection. Jefferson Road.
Perfect time of year to be in the Finger Lakes. Hello again, Mike O'Brien, your getaway guy. I'm going to take you to the village of Hammondsport, south end of Keuka Lake. Come along for the ride. Look for the Getaway Guy on Facebook.
Here's the Press Box Trivia answer brought to you by Market View Liquor, where exceptional customer service meets an extensive selection. Jefferson Road at 390.
Welcome back to the Rochester Press Box. It's Like It or Not segment. It's being brought to you by Sport Clips, where the MVP experience is better than ever. Sport Clips, it's a game changer. No appointment needed. Stop by a Rochester location today. And for when it comes to baseball, you already know Bill Pucko knows a lot about baseball.
Yes, he
but
does.
the guy closest to him is Joe Bradt right now, our producer. Joe, welcome to the show. How are you?
Hey, how's it going, Tariq?
Pretty good. Now, right now, as we put out these bets, favored to win the Super Bowl, the Atlanta Braves, Dodgers second. Houston, I think, is third, and fourth, the Cinderella team that is the Baltimore Orioles. So where do you sort of stack with this, with American League and National League? How do you like it?
Well, let's start with the National League. I think the Braves and Dodgers, being the only two National League teams to win 100 games, are definitely the favorites. They're stacked. You look at Mookie Betts and Freddie Freeman, two guys who could be MVP. Then the Atlanta Braves have Matt Olson and Ronald Acuna, two more guys who could be MVP. So who's going to be MVP? That's a good question. I don't know.
I always go with Mookie, but that's just me. Go ahead.
I kind of like the Phillies as a dark horse because it's the same team they brought back last year. They've added Trey Turner. They've got the pitching with Zach Wheeler. You're kind of familiar with him.
Oh, yeah. Trust me, I know. Zach Wheeler. Wish we still had him as a Met. I know.
So, yeah, if it comes down between the Braves and Dodgers, no one would be surprised. But I also think the Phillies have a shot.
Can I ask a question? And maybe it's a stupid question with the gambler mind in me, right? The best odds American League team is fourth for World Series. When you have three National League teams that are going to be beating up on each other and burning arms, how are the Orioles not second or third right now?
Well, the Orioles won 104 games, so they should have some respect, but they're also a very young team. You're talking about a bunch of guys who are going to be in the playoffs for the first time. I do see them as the favorites in the American League, but compared to the Braves and Dodgers, it's kind of a mismatch.
But can't you make the argument that, especially at a time like this, they're too young to not know what they don't know?
This is the old theory of, hey, they're just going out there playing ball and gambling and stealing bases and hitting home runs.
Let's go have fun.
And then look at all the pressure. Think about this. The Dodgers do have a lot of pressure, a lot of money on there. Only won one World Series 2020. Atlanta, pressure. They've won one before. Okay, we're back at it again. Everybody hates Houston for some strange reason.
Yeah, why?
I mean, here we go.
Why?
It makes for an interesting story.
Houston has to be considered a threat because of the veterans. So I put a lot of stock in like the veterans versus the rookies because there is something to be said for having been there before. Much like my appearance on this show is shaky. I haven't done this a lot.
No, but see, that's you're killing my point here. You've been here before, yet you are the Tampa Bay Rays of this segment right now.
Okay, so I'm the low budget, shouldn't actually be here guy.
Let's put it this way. There have not been this few people in the studio since the early 1900s. That's how bad it is.
Speaking of the Twins, I think they have a shot.
Just so people understand, I lost a bunch of money taking the Blue Jays in Game 1 because I thought the division was terrible, and then Joe won't let me hear the end.
But nobody knew that until we just said it because we only said it off
I
air.
can own it. I will own it. I will wear it, and I will win my money back tomorrow because that's what good, responsible gamblers do.
He's just putting it on the line, making his football picks and his baseball picks. You're just laying it all out there, Duffy. Okay. Unfinished business coming up next. Who needs another coach? The Press Box Stat of the Week is being brought to you by McArdle's Restaurant in Fairport. Come home to McArdle's.
Came now to Eichel. He floated one. Score!
Welcome back to the Rochester Press Box. I'm Tariq Spence filling in for Bill Pucko. It's Unfinished Business, and the man to start first is Pat Duffy.
Recently, Sean McDermott won his 100th regular season game as head coach of the Buffalo Bills, and he needs big congratulations, but bigger than you realize because his former coworker, guy that worked under him, Brian Daboll, he's in his second season as the head coach of the New York Giants, and it was a Cinderella season last year, man. They made the playoffs completely out of nowhere. No one expected it. He got stuff out of Daniel Jones no one ever saw. He got stuff out of Saquon Barkley when he was healthy that no one had ever seen. And the expectation was that the Giants were going to take a step forward, which is why the NFL installed them as a primetime opponent against the Bills a week from this weekend in Orchard Park. And then all the wheels fell off because the Giants are one of the worst teams in football. And I'm not here to suggest it's Brian Daboll's fault. What I'm pointing out is consistency in the NFL is very hard. Sean McDermott has missed the playoffs one time as head coach of the Buffalo Bills, his second year when they were breaking Josh Allen in as a rookie quarterback. Brian Daboll got the quarterback that he wanted under contract at a reasonable rate. He got his running back after a whole bunch of saga off the field with contract stuff. He had everything he thought he needed. He improved this roster, so he believed, and somehow the performance is worse. Again, I'm not here to say that it's Brian Daboll's fault, but with what we're seeing in New York, knowing how things went in Buffalo while Brian was here under Sean McDermott, and rumors that there was a little bit of tension between the two towards the end, maybe, just maybe, it makes what Sean McDermott has done with his assistants going the way they have the last couple of years even more impressive.
Last weekend, on the final day of the baseball regular season, longtime Red Sox pitcher Tim Wakefield passed away. After a battle with brain cancer, he was only 57. We, the general public, had no idea about his illness. That is, until Curt Schilling broke the news, without the family's approval, 3 days before he passed. But I'm not here to talk about Schilling, the social media pariah, or even the Schilling who spent 2 seasons with the Elmira Pioneers of the New York Penn League. This is about Wakefield, who also got his start in the New York Penn League with the Watertown Pirates. A chap named Bill Pucko once made baseball cards and was the first to feature Wakefield in a set. A little bit of trivia. Back then, Tim was a struggling outfielder who had a knuckleball he used to throw around when playing catch. Enter pitching coach Spin Williams. And the rest, as they say, is history. Wakefield finished third in Rookie of the Year ballot in '92 when he went 8-1 with a .215 ERA for Pittsburgh. He dominated the Atlanta Braves in the NLCS, going 2-0 with 2 complete games. After a rough '93, Wakefield found himself with Boston in 1995. He won 16 games and finished third in the Cy Young voting. His career from there was like his most famous pitch. Unpredictable, with lots of ups and downs. But there was one constant, Wakefield himself. For 17 years he was, as teammate Jason Varitek said, the embodiment of the Red Sox. Wake won exactly 200 games in his career, pitching until the age of 46. He was part of 2 World Series champions. He might be most remembered for the walk-off homer he allowed to Aaron, middle name withheld, Boone, in the 2003 ALCS. Many remember that, but forget he won 2 games that series and dominated the Yankees over 14 innings. Tim's baseball legacy stands on its own. He wasn't a Hall of Famer. He was often a 4th or 5th starter, but he was beloved by his teammates and was an ambassador for the game of baseball. No one would have predicted the career Tim had when he was then a 21-year-old outfielder hitting .189 in Watertown. The knuckleball is a pitch that you can't predict. Sometimes you just have to wait and see where it lands.
All right, so before I go in on my New York Football Giants, which I'll leave for about 2 weeks because I really want to see where that goes, I have to talk about my New York Mets and Buck Showalter. Listen, I love Buck. I love the fact that he's just one of those tight you-know-whats that just go out there and just tell it like it is, runs the ship the way it goes. But the Mets' problem really wasn't even Buck Showalter. The Mets' problem was their leadership. They just don't have any. Listen, I like Pete Alonso and he'll get the bag. I like Francisco Lindor. He's a great player, good energy. They really didn't have anybody that was an ace on that team as of yet. They had 2, basically, too old to continue on with the team, and you see where that's landed for them. But you have to understand, they don't have an alpha, a team leader that will run the ship every single day with the manager. So whoever the new manager is going to be for the Mets going forward, and as I tape this, he hasn't been announced yet, but whoever it is has to make sure that there is a 100% alpha on that team that will run the day-to-day operation. So when you go on a 1 or 2 game skid, that person is going to be able to come through and be a number one bona fide, whether it's ace pitcher or hitter for that team. They don't have them. Most of the teams in Major League Baseball that are in fighting for the World Series have one. The Mets don't yet. Could Alonso be that guy? I hope so, but I don't think so. Is Lindor? No, he's a fun-loving player and a great player, but just doesn't have it. Who will it be for the Mets? That's the one key thing that they're looking for, but that's the only thing that separates them from a playoff team. That's for this week's Rochester Press Box. Thank you to Joe Bradt for filling in for the baseball end of it. Appreciate that. Sir, enjoy your time overseas.
Oh, go back to Governor. I've been working on my accent really hard.
Don't do that there,
Wait,
please.
going down Tottenham Hotspur Stadium.
That's a little better.
Okay.
But not much. We'll have his brother Ryan next week, and he won't be doing imitations, I hope.
Maybe probably will, though.
You're watching the Rochester Press Box. Enjoy your weekend. Don't think that was English. I don't know what that was, actually. I'm a little concerned.
You good with that, Joe?